The United Kingdom has struck a deal with the European Union in the most significant reset of relations since Brexit. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa announced details of the agreement in London earlier alongside the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The wide-ranging deal includes measures on defence, trade, food and passport checks. EU and British leaders said the deal signalled a new era in relations.
We're turning a page. We're opening a new chapter in our unique relationship. This is the story of historical and natural partners standing side by side on the global stage, facing most of the same challenges, pursuing the same objectives, like-minded, sharing the same values, and thus we are looking for solutions that are beneficial for both our people and standing shoulder by shoulder when it comes to really getting to the solutions.
Today we have struck this landmark deal with the EU, a new partnership between an independent Britain and our allies in Europe. This is the first UK-EU summit. It marks a new era in our relationship. And this deal is a win-win.
Our UK correspondent Birgit Maass is at that summit in London. Birgit, what are the key takeaways from this deal?
The main takeaway, Nicole, I think, is that this is really a new chapter in the relations. So it's really a change in the tone of language. So not the combative vocabulary that we know from the Brexit negotiations, but a much friendlier demeanour. And I think you could summarize this. So after the divorce, they are not lovers again, but friends.
Is it a win-win, Birgit, or is one side gaining more from this agreement than the other?
Both sides have to make compromises and had to make compromises in order to arrive at this deal. The EU was always adamant that they didn't want to offer the UK a bespoke arrangement. They didn't want to set a precedent that if a country leaves the European Union, that afterwards it would get preferential treatment. However, it seems to be exactly what they are doing with this deal. They're giving the UK, for example, access to the EU energy markets. They're stopping some checks at the border, which would be beneficial for UK companies. So there are concessions, clear concessions on the EU side. However, the UK also had to swallow some bitter pills. And I think one of them, that's one that Brexiteers are complaining most loudly about already, is that they had to accept EU fisheries in their waters for years to come. That's been something that's very contentious. And they also have to accept some rules, some EU rules here in the UK without having a seat at the table.
Tell us more about the defence and security aspect.
So this is a formal defence pact. I think a lot of the details still have to be negotiated and still have to be fleshed out. What we do know is that there are going to be continuous meetings on defence, on security, and also cooperation on things like sanction. Now, what the UK really wants is access to the EU Defence Fund, a new EU Defence Fund, and that's 150 billion euros worth of loans, and the UK defence industry is hoping to have access. And this is something where we learned here at the summit, at the press conference, that there are negotiations that are ongoing, but this is what Keir Starmer is hoping to be able to secure for the British industries.
So how significant is all of this? Is it really the great post-Brexit reset in EU-British relations that Keir Starmer's government in particular was aiming for?
Yes, I think it's definitely a reset. I mean, some of these points seem to be quite technical. There's not like a huge vision behind it, like an overarching theme, like, you know, we are going back towards the European Union. There is no talk of the UK joining the single market again, joining the customs union even. The government is keeping its red lines, but definitely steps towards the European Union. And Keir Starmer will hope that the benefits of this deal will convince the British people, and he's hoping that in the end it's going to be beneficial for business, and this is what he's hoping what's going to stick, and not the calls of betrayal from the Brexiteers.
That was DW's Birgit Maass. Thank you so much, Birgit.